Good morning, everyone. As you all know, most of us in this class are going to be English teachers, or perhaps some of you have been English teacher. Well, as a language teacher, it is needed for us to know or have overview about theories of foreign language, so that we can apply these theories in effective language teaching. This is why we are here for having a presentation and discussion about one of the theories. The theory that we are going to discuss today is audio-lingual method. In our presentation, we focus on 4 major points. First, the history and introduction of audio-lingual method that will be presented by me, Aulia Anafi. Then, continued by explanation of principles and techniques of this method by Reva Melasari. After that, Mustafa Fahmi will discuss about advantage and disadvantage of this method. And the last, Arum Wardani will give you her personal experience in applying this method in her teaching. Our presentation won't take more than an hour of your time. Don't worry about taking notes. We will share the PowerPoint presentation to all of you. There will be question and answer discussion in our WhatsApp group discussion after you watch this presentation. Let's start the first point of the presentation. What is audio-lingual method? Audio-lingual method is a technique of foreign language instructions that emphasizes audio-lingual skills over reading and writing. It is characterized by extensive use of pattern practice. This method aims to attain oral proficiency. This method suggests that students should be taught phonology, morphology, and syntax of the language. This pattern can be learned through contrastive analysis of the differences between the native tongue and the target language, which helps students to acquire target language easier. In this method, the skill being taught first is listening, and then speaking, reading, and writing. Then, how is the history of this method? It was first developed in the period of World War II. At that time, United States required linguists to set up special training programs to supply the war with language personnel. The training program emphasized on fast and easy foreign language acquisition. Therefore, United States commissioned American universities to develop foreign language programs for military personnel. Thus, in 1942, Army Specialized Training Program was developed. By 1943, 55 universities in America were involved in this program. Because of influence of military, the early version of audio-lingual method came to be known as the Army method. Then, how was it developed? It was developed when American linguists such as Leonard Bloomfield and Charles Rice aimed at collecting indigenous languages spoken in U.S. The technique that Bloomfield and his colleagues used was sometimes known as the informant method. Why it is called informant method? Because it used a native speaker of the language as the informant. It means that the informant here means that the one providing sentences for imitation. While Rice called this audio-lingual method as an oral approach. According to Rice, language should be taught by using intensive oral drilling by its basic patterns. This method emphasizes proper pronunciation and intonation. And then, how this method became more popular and why? The method became popular when behaviorism psychologists like Skinner believed that behaviorism, including language, were learned through repetition and reinforcement. Let's talk more about how the behaviorism theory influenced the development of the audio-lingual method. Behaviorism is the first theory developed by some key figures such as Pavlov, Watson, Thorndike, and Skinner. The behaviorist view on learning is that it focuses on how learners' behavior is shaped through stimulus and response. They also view that behavior is observable. The audiolingual method is based on behaviorist theory, which postulates the certain traits of living thing, and in this case, human, could be trained through a system of reinforcement. Then, behaviorism had significant impact on teaching and learning principles of audiolingual method. As I mentioned earlier, there are three elements of learning based on behaviorism view. They are stimulus, response, and reinforcement. According to Richard and Rogers in 1987, the application of these three elements in foreign language are: first, the stimulus is the information about foreign language, while the response is the student reactions on presented materials. And the last one, the reinforcements. It is the natural self-satisfaction of a target language use. Well friends, I'm nearing the last part of my presentation. How the audiolingual method declined of its popularity. First, in the 1960s, many linguists criticized audiolingual method. They claim that the theoretical foundation of this approach is weak, and students were found to be unable to use skills learned in the classroom in real communication. The second, in 1966, Chomsky criticized behaviorist theory that was the main basis of this method. He claimed that this theory could not be functioned as a model of how humans learn language. According to Chomsky, languages are not acquired by repetition and imitation, but generated from the learner's underlying competence. With the appearance of Chomsky's transformational grammar theory, audiolingual method lost its popularity. Therefore, current teaching practices still use this method, but combine this method with traditional practices in order to make more effective language teaching. Well everybody, that's all I have to say about the introduction and history of audiolingual method. Let's move on to the next point of this presentation. It is the principles and technique of this method, which is going to be delivered by Reva Malasan. Reva, chance is yours.
Okay, for the first dialogue memorization, here students memorize an opening dialogue using mimicry and also role-playing. Let's see, dialogue or short conversation between two people are often used to begin a new lesson. Students memorize the dialogue through mimicry, and students usually take the role of one person in the dialogue, and then the teacher the other. After the student have learned to one person line, they switch role and memorize the other person part. Okay, for example, good morning, how are you? Good morning, I'm very well, thank you. And you? Fine, where are you going? I'm going to the library. I'm too. Shall we go together? Okay, let's go. After the dialogue has been memorized, pairs of students might perform the dialogue for the rest of the class. The second, backward build-up or expansion drill. This is used when students in trouble in dialogue. It means that this drill is used when a long line of dialogue is giving student trouble. The teacher help the student for memorize. but the teacher breaks down the line into several parts, and then the student repeat a part of the sentence, usually the last part of the line, then following the teacher's cue. The student explains what they are repeating part by part until they are able to repeat the entire line. The teacher begins with the part at the end of the sentence to keep the intonation of the line as natural as possible. This also directs more student attention to the end of the sentence. Let's see, for example, next is repetition drill. Here, students are asked to repeat the teacher's model as accurately and as quickly as possible. This drill is often used to teach the lines of the dialogue. For example, I read newspaper every morning, and then student repeat, I read newspaper every morning. So here student repeat what they listen from the teacher without look at the script material. For the next, chain drill. A chain drill gets its name from the chain conversation that from around the room of students, one by one, and ask and answer questions of each other. Students ask and answer each other. Teacher check some line and start chain drill by asking questions to the student. Then the student follow the teacher's example to ask the student to write. For example, teacher choose some line and start a chain drill by asking a question from the dialogue to the nearest student. For example, teacher, hi, what is your name? The teacher asks to the nearest student beside or behind him. And then the student follow the teacher example and ask the same way to the student sitting next to him. So, the activity in the same way ask and answer each other by contrast teacher. And we can say that all students practice dialogue in the same way. All students have a chance to practice, and chain drill gives the teacher chance to opportunity to check the student's speech. Next is single slot expectation drill. Here, the teacher says a line from the dialogue. Next, the teacher says a word or a phrase as per the script. And then the student repeat the line that the teacher has given them. Substituting the cue into the line is in proper place. The major purpose of this drill is to give the student practice in finding and fill in the slot of a sentence. For example, teacher said, I read the book, but and for the next, teacher show the magazine and say magazine. And student change or fill the sentence use magazine. I read the magazine. And next, teacher use he, not I. So the student make the sentence he reads the magazine. So this single slot. In the next multiple slot, finish drill. In this drill, is almost similar to the single slot extension drill before, but the difference is that the teacher gives two phrases, one at the time that fit into different slots in the dialogue line. And the student must recognize what part of each coup is, or at least where it fits into the sentence, and make any other change, such as subject-verb agreement. Then they say the line, fitting the cue phrase into the line where it belongs. Now let's see the example. Teacher, they go to the zoo, and then teacher gives a clue, I am hospital. So students make the sentence, I go to the hospital, by the cue from the teacher. The transformation drill. The transformation drill here, teacher asks the student to change the type of the sentence. For example, the sentence is, they will come here. The instruction for the teacher makes no 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 change the statement into equations. So the question statement is, will they come here? There. Next is question and answer drill. Here, this drill gives student practice with answering questions. The students should answer the teacher question very quickly. It's also possible for the teacher to cue the student to ask question as well. For example, does he come here? For the example, yes, student answer, yes, he does. And does he come here? If the answer no, no, he does not. So the student the student should answer the question very quickly. The third, complete the dialogue. For the complete the dialogue, the teacher selected word or eraser from a dialogue student have learned before, and then students complete the dialogue by filling the blanks with the missing words. For example, here, I read blah 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 every morning. So then I read newspaper every morning. The last is grammar game. Teacher introduced a game to practice the grammar or structure. For example, uh, the game is called supermarket alphabet game. There are some students as student 1, student 2, student 3, and so on. Student 1 say, I'm going to the supermarket, I need milk. And then continue to second student, I'm going to supermarket, he need milk, and I need bread. And then the third student say, I am going to supermarket, he needs milk, she needs bread, and I need some fruit. So here, grammar here, the student learn the subject I am and he, it, she, like that. And also, I'm going to supermarket first. I need milk, and then second student, I'm going to supermarket. He need milk. He need milk refer to the first student, and I need bread for the second student. And the next student, I'm going to supermarket. He needs milk refer to the first student. She needs bread for the second student, and I need some fruit for student, the third student. So, okay. Last explanation about principle of audio lingual method. Basically,
Hi everyone, my name is Mustafa Fahmi. In this special occasion, I'd like to elaborate about the advantages and disadvantages of using audiolingual method based on Young May 2018. Let's talk about the advantages first. The question is, what are the benefits of using audiolingual method? First, this method could be used to attain oral proficiency. Well, why? As in the implementation of this method, the students require to imitate what the teachers say. This method is full of recitation. This is useful to force the students to speak up. It's kind of drilling process in the form of the speaking. So, gradually, the student speaking proficiency will improve. Next, audiolingual method enables the students to learn about foreign language pattern. As we know that each language in this world has its own unique, especially in grammatical form and sentence structure. Let's talk about the distinction between Bahasa Indonesia and English. Have a look at this simple example. An inconclusive test. In Bahasa Indonesia, it means tes yang tidak meyakinkan. As we know that in English, adjective must be placed before noun. While in Bahasa Indonesia, adjective should be put after noun with adding the word yang. Tes yang tidak meyakinkan. What about the other example? Adorable person. Orang yang menawan. Adorable person. Adorable first, adjective first, followed by noun. In Bahasa Indonesia, orang yang menawan. Noun first, followed by the word yang, and after that, adjective. This kind of simple distinction is sometimes confusing the learners, but through audiolingual method, the learners will gradually understand about it because the teacher use this and emphasize this kind of difference during the teaching, during the delivering the materials to the students. Therefore, this method is quite useful to make the students understand about the foreign language pattern. Third, this audiolingual method could lower the interruption from the mother tongue language. In the application of this method, the teachers should be able to use foreign language as often as possible and reduce the use of the mother tongue language to make the students get used to listen to it and speak with this foreign language. It's quite essential to enable the students to understand about how important the practice is, and too much using mother tongue language can reduce the foreign language practice. Well, actually it is not forbidden to use the mother tongue language, but of course it is in the small portion. So the teachers are suggested to use foreign language in language instruction, in giving some explanation to the students. Next, this method focuses on contrastive analysis. What does it mean? Well, structural linguistics view language as a system of structurally related elements, including morphemes, phonemes, sentences, and structures. So, the teachers would like to apply audiolingual method in teaching foreign language must be able to contrast between the structures of mother tongue language and the target language. Next, Yang may believe that audiolingual method could increase the motivation of the students in learning foreign language. Audiolingual method suggests adopting intuitive teaching tools, such as visual and auditory equipment. It is commonly believed that using intuitive teaching tools could make deep impression to the students with the learning content.
The employment of audiovisual aids, including PowerPoint, movie, videos, podcasts, tape recording, and such like, could make the students more interested in learning foreign language, of course. This can possibly make the students to be highly motivated. We have already discussed about some advantages of the application of audiolingual method in foreign language teaching and learning. Nevertheless, there are some shortcomings of using this audiolingual method. First, lack of flexibility. In the classroom, the teachers play an important role and central roles in giving some materials. They instruct their students to do some exercises and limit the students to use their own ideas. Why? Because it might lead to some mistakes if the students use their own ideas. Through audiolingual method, the students just do as what their teachers ask to do passively without involving their own ideas. Students are just required to listen to their teachers carefully and imitate what their teachers have said accurately. Of course, this can limit the students' idea in producing the language. Once mistakes are found, the teachers should be able to correct their students immediately. This way could lead to the second shortcoming of using audiolingual method. It is reducing the students' self-confidence. Audiolingual method might reduce the students' confidence as they are too afraid to make some mistakes in speaking, in practicing what their teachers have said, because they have to perfectly imitate the teachers. Immediate correction from the teachers to their students is not suggested, as we know that the teacher should create comfortable learning process. The teachers should be able to give some positive response although their students make some mistakes in their speakings, for instance. Making the students frustrated in learning foreign language may impede them for further language learning. Instead, the teachers should be able to create a relaxing atmosphere of learning and comfortable learning process to make the students more interested in learning and more motivated. The teacher should be able to encourage the students as well to be okay to make some mistakes. Making mistakes in speaking foreign language, for instance, should be considered to be acceptable, to make the students dare to express their own ideas. So instead of damaging the students' confidence, it will be better to let them express their own ideas freely. Hence, immediate error correction should be controlled. That's all my presentation related to some benefits and shortcomings of the application of audiolingual method. Hopefully you can enjoy this video, and next explanation, next materials will be delivered by my friend. Don't miss that presentation because it will be useful as well. Thank you and cheers, mate.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Finally, we are on the last session of this discussion with me, Arumardani. Aulia, Fahmi, and Reva have discussed about audiolingual method in history, principle, advantage, and disadvantage. In this session, we would like to discuss about the experiences of using audiolingual method in the classroom. Of course, it will be from the point of view of teacher and student. Hopefully, all of you enjoy the presentation.